Hey, third grade, Mr. Calvert here. Today we are going to be starting a two-day project based on an artist named Frank Stella, and we'll take a look at his work in just a moment. Um, he is a painter as well as a sculptor, and we are going to be making some sculptures inspired by Frank Stella. Okay, and kind of the two big things that I wanted to talk to you about on this project is the first one is something called warm and cool colors. You probably already know these, but just as a little refresher, warm colors are colors that we would typically see with fire, so reds, oranges, and yellows. Pink is also considered a warm color because it's a tint of red. But warm colors, typically they're a more active group of colors. They oftentimes appear like they're closer to you. They have more energy. That's just the way that your brain thinks about them. We also have something called the cool colors, which are green, blue, and purple. Okay, notice I called them cool colors and warm colors, not cold and hot. They are warm and cool. Okay, and cool colors, they don't have as much energy. Oftentimes, cool colors seem like they are further away from us, especially when you put them right next to a warm color. Okay, so when we do warms and cools, there's a lot of contrast between those two. Those warms will seem like they're super duper close to us. Those cools will seem like they're going back into the distance. We are going to use warm and cool colors on our sculpture. So you'll color one side of your sheet of paper warms, and the other half cools. And the reason we're going to do that is because by using just the warms on one side of your paper and cools on the other, it's going to help to show you the different sides of your sculpture. Okay, if I just decide to use the rainbow on both sides, it would just look like a big mess. It would look like there would just be too many colors. You wouldn't be able to comprehend or understand the different sides of the sculpture. So by limiting our colors to each side of our sculpture, that'll help our brains and people who look at our work kind of understand which parts of the sculpture they're actually seeing. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is something called form. And form is just a fancy way to say that something is either 3D or it's something that looks like it's 3D. Now, this sculpture is 3D. It has a top, it has a bottom, it has a front, it has a back, and it has sides. This is 3D. Mr. Calvert is 3D. My phone is 3D. Okay? Because I'm 3D, that also means that I have form. Now, not all things have to be like something I can actually hold like this. I can draw something to look like it has form too, like this cube that I drew. Even though it's on a flat sheet of paper, it looks like it's 3D. In math class, you probably call these 3D shapes. In art, we call them forms. Okay? And if something is flat, like if I just take that cube and I turn it into a square, now it's just a shape. So shapes are flat. They're always 2D. They're two-dimensional. Okay? Forms are 3D. They're things that are actually 3D, like this, or they're things that look like they are 3D. And there are lots of different ways that you can make them look 3D. But over the next couple classes, we're going to work with actually making something that is 3D. This actually has form to it. So we're going to take a look at an artist, and his name is Frank Stella. Frank is still alive, and it says he's 82. He's probably a little bit older than that now. I haven't updated this in a couple years. And he comes from Massachusetts, which is right here on the map. This big orange country. This is the United States. This is where we are from. And in particular, we are from right about here, this part of Wisconsin. Massachusetts is way out on the East Coast. And he is an abstract artist, so when we look at his work, we don't see people or animals or trees or houses. He focuses on lines and shapes and colors. And he's also a minimalist. Now, if we break this word down, we see the word minimal, which means very simple. He doesn't believe that artwork has to have everything to become art. He believes that artwork should be very simple. It shouldn't have a lot of colors or lines or shapes. So one series I want to show you is something called his protractor series. And this is a protractor. If you don't know what that is, it's something that oftentimes we use in math class when you get older, and it's a way to measure angles of things. So he used a protractor to create a whole series of paintings. And you can see that by overlapping them, he kind of removes that appearance of a protractor. Like if I didn't tell you that this is a protractor series, you might not even know that that's what he was using because of the way he's layering and overlapping his shapes and colors. It kind of makes this really simple design look much more complex. Here's another example of it, a little bit easier to see that protractor shape. Once again, he's just repeating the same shape over and over, just changing the direction of it, overlapping, and it makes that really complex looking work of art. A few more of his. Okay, notice how sometimes he changes the shape of his painting. Here we see a square shaped painting. Here we see like a quarter of a circle. So kind of cool how he changes the shape of his canvas. Another example of it, just working with the curves of the protractors. But what we're going to focus on are his sculptures, because that's what we're going to be making. As I said, sculptures are obviously 3D. They have form. He typically sculpts his sculptures, so he makes them first, and then he paints them when they're all done. And they almost look like they're collaged. And a collage is when you cut up pieces of paper and then you glue them together to make a work of art. So these ones aren't very minimalist. You can see he's using lots of lines, shapes, colors. It's almost kind of messy looking, as this collage-like look. Like there are lots of different things going on this. Here you can see another one, very 3D, sticks out from the wall oftentimes. He does have ones that stand on the ground as well, but oftentimes his sculptures come out from the wall. A few more, you can see some in the background too, some smaller ones. Okay, a lot of times very bright colors. And here's another one. So we are going to be focusing on creating a sculpture inspired by him, as I said. I really want you to focus on those warm and cool colors like I talked about. You're going to be using those today as well as next time. You won't get to actually making the sculpture part today. You'll end up turning that sheet of paper into a sculpture next class. And that might sound kind of weird. You know, papers are typically 2D, it's flat, but by twisting it and turning it and manipulating our paper, we can turn it into a form. All right, can't wait to see what you guys make. Bye.